reason change feels terrifying isn't because everything might fall apart, but because you don't fully trust yourself to handle it. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Taking Up Space with Jordan. I'm your host, Jordan. If you're new here, I'm so happy you found this little corner of the internet where we talk about building your dream life, the boring parts, the brave parts, and the moments where everything feels like it's shifting underneath your feet all the time. And lately, I'll be honest, my life has been shifting to high hell. There have been transitions, uncertainty, big question marks, doors opening and closing, the whole dramatic movie montage. And what's wild is that in other seasons of my life, or in previous seasons of my life, I should say, this kind of change would have sent me straight into survival mode, overthinking, spiraling, trying to control every single outcome that I possibly could. But this time around, I'm feeling calm and clear and grounded. And this isn't because I magically know what's going to happen. I haven't looked in a big crystal ball and seen the answers, but actually because I finally am trusting myself to be the person who will handle it. So today, we're actually going to talk about the relationship between self-trust and change and why self-trust might be the superpower that allows you to navigate almost anything life throws at you. So let's get into it. Before I move on, though, I have been wanting to change the podcast a little bit. And the main reason why I've been wanting to do this is because it has been feeling like there's something missing. And I realized I wanted to go kind of back to the beginning, where a part of, if you've listened since the beginning, I guess, I would do these things that brought me joy or things that felt like kind of like my dream life. And so I'm kind of going to bring that back because there's so much darkness. There's so much negativity in the world. And so I really wanted to start incorporating that joy that I feel throughout my day-to-day life and bring that here. And so for just a minute or a moment, I want you to take a second and just reflect, even if you've had a bad week. And I want to find one moment for where you felt a little bit of joy. I want you to pause and then come back. Because for me, my moment of joy was actually two things that happened this week, and I'm very proud of them. The first was when I got complimented on my book and someone started following me because they were excited for when it comes out. I've been really struggling with talking about my book because one, I want it to be done like right now, and I'm struggling with the timeline. But two, writing has always been a sacred thing for me. And now I'm about to share this precious thing and put it out into the world. And we all know what sometimes happens when you put things out in the world. So that is scary, but it was amazing to get to see someone in the wild be excited for something that came from my brain. Which this is also a good time to plug. I'm going to be looking for beta readers very soon. If you are interested in giving my book some gentle and kind feedback, emphasis on gentle and kind, then you can go ahead and sign up using the link down below or go to my website at www.takingupspacewithjordan.com/author era. From there, you can find a little bit more information and details and kind of what I'm looking for when it comes to a beta reader. My second moment of joy was actually a sad but really good change. I am officially no longer actively in therapy. What that means is that I officially do not have a follow-up meeting with my therapist. I used to meet with my therapist once a week, twice a week, then once every other week, then once a month, and now I have finally graduated and I have been seeing this therapist for 5 years now and finally feel like I'm in a place of self-regulation and self-trust. I still have parts of me that are going to need to be checked in with, and I'm still going to have my bad days. But the greatest thing, though, about therapy is that I can say I dealt with my shit. I dealt with the big things and the little things. And I know now that I still have that person in my corner if I need to go back to her. But if you needed a sign that it's time for some therapy, look at me now. I am a glowing 5-star review for therapy because therapy helped me realize a lot of things about myself. And one of those things was our topic today, that if I trust myself, I can navigate the ever-changing world around me. And OMG, since you brought up self-trust, let's start talking about it. So self-trust is the foundational belief in your ability to handle life's challenges. It's about making decisions and honoring commitments to yourself. And it can sound nerve-wracking and huge. And the reason why is because it is. Self-trust comes from daily habits and rituals that are about building that relationship with yourself. You can't take a magic pill for self-trust. You can't just do one journal entry and that's it. It's not a weekly thing. It is an everyday commitment. It's you following through on the small commitments. It's you listening to that inner voice. It's embracing feeling uncomfortable. And the biggest thing of all, it's taking responsibility. Now, this is a huge concept. Self-trust in itself, I feel like could be a college lecture on because it's not built overnight. It's not a small thing. It takes that consistent practice and patience with yourself. But here's what I've learned. When you develop self-trust, change stops feeling like a threat and it actually starts to feel more like an opportunity. And that's a huge mindset shift that has to happen because you're no longer asking, what if everything falls apart? You're starting to ask, okay, and if it does, do I trust myself to figure it out? Do you hear the shift that starts to happen? It's not everything's falling apart and I have no idea what to do. It's everything's falling apart, but I trust myself to figure it out. And when the answer becomes yes, when you start to trust yourself to figure it out, your entire body, your entire soul starts to move differently. You stop clinging to different outcomes. You stop panicking. You stop trying to control every single variable in order to just feel safe. And you start responding instead of reacting. I think change feels so terrifying when we secretly believe we can't handle what might happen. We worry we'll make the wrong choice. We assume that if something ends, we won't recover. And our brains read uncertainty as danger, danger, stop, do not pass go here. But self-trust offers a different narrative. It reminds you that even if you make a mistake, you will learn. Even if something hurts, you can survive it. Even if you lose something or someone, you are still you. You've already gotten through every bad day that you've ever had. Think about that for a second. Right now, think about every single bad day that you've ever had. And look at you today. That is evidence, and that evidence matters. When I look back at how I used to handle change, I almost want to hug that version of me. She was exhausted. She was constantly spiraling, over planning, trying to predict the future like she could somehow outsmart the pain. I would pull everyone around me for advice because trusting myself felt impossible. And I would pull from people that I didn't even trust their own life decision making, but somehow I felt like if I got their opinion too, that would matter. It would help me. So the whole idea was that if I could just control it enough, if I could basically, honestly, be a control freak, maybe I wouldn't get hurt. But control is a false sense of safety. What actually makes you safe is the relationship you have with yourself. And I specifically wanted to talk about self-trust because I was just talking with Bestie this week about how so many of us, specifically talking about women, hide so much of ourselves and our pain from everyone because we are taught that if we make a mistake or if we do the wrong thing or present in the wrong manner, that we will be ostracized. And I don't want to keep my mistakes a secret anymore. I don't want to pretend like I have it all figured out when in fact I don't. But I trust myself to figure it out. Now, I still get nervous. I still have moments where I'm like, what is happening? Who approved this plot twist? Who said she needs more character development? Go ahead and put her through that. Because I sure as hell didn't approve that shit. But underneath the nerves, there's something that has become steadier for me. I trust that I will make the best decision I can with the information that I have. I trust that I can pivot if I need to, and I trust that I can ask for help, and I trust that I can begin again because I've already done this over and over again. When you look at your life, look not at the bad moments or all of the mistakes, but instead I want you to ask yourself all the times you picked yourself back up. We all have stories and evidence that show that we can, in fact, do it. We just have to look past that fear and see the strength that's lying underneath. Because what ends up happening is that trust creates calm in situations that used to completely wreck us and destroy us. Something else that therapy taught me is that bravery isn't always loud or aesthetic. Bravery often looks like staying present when you want to run. It looks like telling the truth, letting something end, trying again, not abandoning yourself when things get uncomfortable. Self-trust is what makes those actions possible. Without it, every change feels like a free fall, even the tiniest ones. Because with it, change becomes movement, forward, messy, imperfect movement. but movement all the same. I also want to take a second and demystify how this is built because sometimes personal growth can sound like a rebrand that you need to do overnight instead of just you living your life. Because building self-trust is actually very unglamorous. It's keeping promises to yourself. It's resting when you said you would. It's having the hard conversations. It's applying for that job. It's not texting that person. It's going to therapy, forgiving yourself, waking up the next day and doing it again and again and again. It's those tiny moments repeated consistently, creating someone who can actually hold a bigger life. And that's not glamorous. That's hard. It's hard work. And you're not going to see the results the next day or even the next or the next or the next. You know when you're going to see the results? The next time a big shift happens. The next time when you feel like you would have free falled at one point, but now you find yourself steadying yourself. And here's the final truth. Your life is changing right now. Every day, there is always going to be a change. There is always an opportunity to see a new version of something in your life. New levels of love, responsibility, visibility, opportunity. They require a woman who trusts herself. Of course, it's going to be uncomfortable. Growth is not always pleasant or pretty. In fact, I think majority of the time, it isn't. I know someone listening right in the middle of it. They're in the thick of their change. Maybe something is ending. Maybe you're between jobs. Maybe relationships are shifting. Maybe your dreams are expanding faster than your confidence. I want you to hear me when I say you are not behind. You are not failing. What you're doing is becoming the version of yourself that you're proud to be. And you can trust the person that you are turning into. If I could lead you with anything, it's this. Your power is not in controlling change. Your power is in knowing you can handle whatever comes next. Once you know that, you move through the world so much differently, so much more confidently. You take chances, you release what isn't aligned with you. You stop gripping so tightly onto people who don't really care for you. You start living, and that is where your dream life begins. So the change you're walking through right now, it's not here to ruin you, I promise. It's here to introduce you to the next version of yourself. And that version is stronger, is clearer, and more ready than you know. Thank you so much for tuning in this week. I hope that whatever change that you are avoiding, feeling conflicted about, this episode helped give you some clarity. Wherever you are in the world, keep dreaming, keep trying, keep showing up for yourself, and do it loudly and do it proudly. And I'll see you next week. Kisses!